Yo, what's up, guys? This Topic's here, and I have a Priory tip video for you. So this video is going to consist of my top 6 tips for Priory of the Sacred Flame. These are, obviously this isn't a masterclass guide, but these are probably the biggest tips I think that I can offer any pug or anyone that is starting to learn Priory or starting to get to high keys and looking for ways that they can approach this dungeon. So, um, the first tip that I have is skipping the start. So if you can skip these first 4 footmen here, it's extremely helpful to your dungeon in terms of routing. And it also makes the first pull a lot easier to not have these footmen that cast defend. So there's a couple ways you can do that. As you see right here, we have Shroud up. You can just rogue Shroud past these guys on like the right or left column of the stairs. Another way that you can skip is lock gating, either on an angle up here or on an angle up here by the flame. Those are the 2 easiest ways. The other ways you can skip are waiting for these to run all the way down, mind soothing them, and then kind of jumping on an angle into the stairs, and you will avoid them. And then the last but not least would be invis potting, but that's obviously not the best option. Because it takes your damage pot cooldown, unless you like pre-invis pot, but you have to time it really, really well. So this is the first tip. If you have a rogue, lock, or a priest, I would highly recommend skipping these first 4. Again, it makes the first pull a lot easier. All right, so the next tip I have is where to play the first pull. First pull, typically you're grabbing the mini boss Suleiman and you're grabbing a knight, and you should be playing it on the stairs. If you want to pull a caster pack like I did, you can, but this isn't really talking about how to gather the first pull. This is really just a tip for the first pull. If you tank on the stairs, you will not get knocked back. The way these stairs work are they're like different vertical platforms like this, so as long as you're standing on the stairs, it's almost as if you're getting knocked against a wall. So when he casts the shield slam, you will not go flying. This is really important when trying to keep the first pull together, and as a tank, there's a lot on your mind while dealing with this pull. Playing on the stairs will greatly help with that. And then, of course, with this pull, you want to be focusing the knight first, not the mini boss. The knight is actually more dangerous in this pull than the mini boss. Okay, tip 3. Tip 3 is kind of like a 2-parter. I just want to talk about what each mini boss does. The first one of the mini bosses on the right side, Damian, he does Heat Wave. That's his main ability, and it's a big AoE damage to the group. On low keys, this is probably extremely easy. On high keys, this thing hits like a truck. You're going to need a defensive or even like a raid defensive like AMZ, Darkness, Link, Barrier, stuff like that just to survive this. And you're going to need to rotate it. So that's the main thing to know about this guy is do be prepared to press defensives on his Heat Wave. And be careful what trash you're pulling with him, because having to kick casts on trash or maybe playing it with a lynx like I am here is not the best. We did survive this, but I would not recommend this. So again, be careful what trash you pull with Damian, because if you have a lynx that's putting bleeds on people and they get a bleed at the same time as the Heat Wave goes out, you can die. All right, and the other part of tip 3 is the other mini boss, Amia, on the left side. This one, I would say this one is overall less scary. All that she does is cast Holy Smite, so you just have to kick that, and you should easily have enough kicks in your group just to kick this when it goes off, because there are periods of time where she doesn't cast this. And then the only other thing is she puts an absorb shield on herself that needs to be DPS'd through. However, she reflects a big portion of this damage back when she has the shield up. So I think it's quite a bit. They buffed it from last season, so you're actually going to get more damage reflected back onto you. So you don't want to use CDs inside of the shield. You actually just want a natty DPS through the shield, and you actually want to be using CDs when she doesn't have the shield up. That's how you play her. I just wanted to include that in this tip, because a lot of DPS will pop CDs to try and burn through the shield, but then they'll get a bunch of it reflected back on them and kill themselves. So you just got to be careful about that. Or if you're a big funnel class that's going to get a ton of single target value from funneling, just be careful how much you're funneling when the shield is up. All right. Um, the next tip I wanted to talk about, and I kind of paused the frame here so you can see the left stairs and the right stairs, is your decision making on when you should go left and when you should go right. Um, so a couple things come into this decision. Number one, how many kicks does your team have? Um, the reason why I say to think about how many kicks your team has is because if you go right up these stairs and you play this mini boss, it's going to be Elena Emberlens, which is this mini boss here that runs to you. Okay, so you won't have her with first boss, but that means that you'll have Tanner, which is this guy. So if you go right, you know you're going to be playing Tanner with boss. If you go left, Tanner's going to run towards you after you kill this mini boss, and you're going to be playing Elena Emberlens with boss. So now you have that context. Figuring out, do I want to play Tanner with boss or Elena with boss? You do have to think about kicks because playing Tanner with boss requires at least 3 kicks, a 3 kick rotation, perhaps 4 if one of your 3 kicks is a long cooldown. What I would recommend is actually having like if you have a range like a hunter or a mage or like a shadow priest with a long cool. Actually, shadow priest is too long. But if you have a hunter or a mage or like an evoker with a long kick, they should be kicking Dale Cry because Dale Cry only casts I think about every 24-25 seconds. So you put your long lockout kick or sorry your long cooldown kick on Dale Cry, and you'd put your short melee kicks like your 15 and 12-second kicks on a rotation on Tanner. So if you have at least 4 kicks, which most groups should, and you don't have any more than one long kick, you can go right and play Tanner on boss. But if you don't have the kicks, or maybe you're in a pug and you don't trust a kick rotation, which is often the case, I'd recommend going left so that you don't have to play Tanner, who chain casts on boss. I find myself, at least so far this season, going left a lot because we're not in a coordinated group and we don't have a kick rotation, because if Tanner does get a cast off when you're pulling him with first boss, it can one-shot your group. But if you do have the kicks and you're in a coordinated group, right side is actually a lot easier for the tank on first boss because you don't have Elena Emberlands, which does a tank buster. So it just makes the first boss easier for the tank. So I do think it is better to go right in the highest of keys so that it's easier for your tank on first boss if you have those coordinated kicks. Otherwise, go left in pugs. That's basically my recommendation. All right. So, tip number 5 is going to be this first pull. This is probably the hardest pull. Maybe it's tied with the first pull of the dungeon. If not, it's probably the hardest. Is this big paladin pull? So, because of timer, maybe unless it's a super low key, you really have to pull 3 packs here. I only did a pull timer because we were kind of waiting for rogue CDs a little bit here. Any tank, I would say, you want to press a defensive as you're gathering this. You're going to take a lot of damage up front. If you're like a paladin or any other class that has like a magic DR or magic immunity, you could press that too, because some of their melee hits, these guys also have magic attached to them, and so you're gonna be taking like magic melee hits during this pull as well. So it's just a lot of damage up front, defensive. Press whatever mitigation you can as you're gathering, and then you want to pop all CDs. As you see how I gather this pull, I just body pull the rest, so I actually throw a Ravager. But anyways, yeah, there's only 1 kick in here, which is why you pull that right side. There's also 1 less paladin, so everyone typically pulls that right side pack in with this, and this is just a lust, all CDs, any defensives you have, pull. All right. And tip 6, the last tip I have, it's kind of like a combo tip as well. It's just generally talking about the trash in the last room. The first part of this is the light spawns. When they do bursts of light, you need to pre-kite these out. So a mistake that a lot of players make is they will wait until this cast starts and then they'll start kiting, but by then it's often too late and you cannot get them out in time. You can actually start pre-kiting them maybe the light spawn does this cast at 25% HP. You can probably start pre-cutting them at like 27-28% HP because this light spawn doesn't really move a lot. It does a channel cast, so likelihood it's standing still anyway. So you can pre-kite these out at like 27-28% because you know that this cast is about to come out. That way they're already like all the way out or almost out by the time the cast is started. Um, the other tip I wanted to talk about here, we're pulling this patrol. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Um, you do not want to pull this patrol with the middle pack. I have seen some teams pull the patrol with this right pack, but you definitely do not want to pull it with this middle pack. You will definitely wipe. So how do you pull this without pulling anything else? The best way is when it's completely in front like this. This is actually the furthest it is from the hitboxes of the middle mini boss pack. You don't want to pull it on an angle. It's actually really close if you try and pull it on angles, and you obviously don't want to pull it when it's in this back corner. So if you are pulling this patrol pack separately from everything else here, wait till it's at the front, and then you can like taunt one or maybe tag one with like a heroic axe throw or any other tank ability that has like a ranged aggro. And the reason why that's fine is you don't have to walk up to them is because their cast will go on the tank first, which is not going to kill you, and then from there they will walk in a little bit, and then you can kick or grip them or whatever. So that's how you want to pull this patrol without pulling anything else, is waiting till it's at the complete front, and that is going to require some attention on your side, kind of watching as you're playing this last area. Where's the patrol? When is it a good time to pull? So yeah, it does require like some intuitive decision making there. But that is my top 6 tips for Priory of the Sacred Flame. Again, it wasn't a master class, but I do think that these are all some very basic helpful tips for your pug groups to have a higher success rate here. So if you guys enjoyed this video, leave it a like and subscribe for more content like this. I am planning on doing more tip videos for the rest of the Mythic Plus dungeons this season, along with other general WoW content. I really appreciate you guys. See you in the next one. Peace. Shout out to all the Patreon members. It's because of your support that I'm able to continue making Protection Warrior and World of Warcraft content. Thank you.